Andy, if you look at the 10 new measures, it seems like the priorities are shifting to the senior people, in particular those 80 and above in terms of vaccination, and also because there will be much less PCR test or QR screening. So that you do see the changes, and you mentioned about China is better prepared in terms of treating COVID patients. That kind of infrastructure or facilities, the government is more confident. Probably that's part of the reason why now we are opening.
Absolutely, and we have to recognize this is, of course, a public health crisis. So the COVID pandemic all around the world was a public health crisis. But it also is a policy challenge and a political challenge as well, because there are real costs. There were economic costs. There still are economic costs. People had to endure quite a lot. So I think it's a complex issue. And one of the key tasks ahead, as was announced, is increasing vaccination amongst the elderly, especially the old. And I think there's two factors here. I mean, one is that they tend to not get out as much, so reducing the opportunities to get infected, but also the communication is very, very important, as we've seen mentioned in the press conference in multiple messages from the government that the vaccines available are safe. They really should be taken. And at the same time, the government is responding. And I hesitate to use the word pivot because it sounds somewhat arbitrary. I think that, again, this kind of complex challenge requires balancing public health. It requires balancing economic impact, and it also requires balancing public sentiment as well. And I think there's a bit of a misperception in the West that the Chinese government wants to take these very strict measures. And I think nothing could be further from the truth. And now, because the virus has evolved, thankfully, to be less deadly, so of course it would make sense for the government to take these measures while doing more to protect the elderly, or, as I've heard it's described as you have the young old, the middle old, and the old, but it's especially the old, those above 80 years old, I believe, that are most at risk. So this is, I think it's very sensible that this is one of the priorities.